What's goody, everybody? Welcome back to Dose of Destiny. Thank you so much for being here. Can y'all believe it's already 2025? And I know everybody is already saying new year, new me, but I'm gonna give you some tips on what you can do, the ins and outs of 2025 that you can apply to your life so that you can really have a new year and a new you. Because how many times do we say new year, new me, but we have a new year but the same you? So if you want to get out of that cycle, stay throughout this video because I'm going to be giving you some of my favorite ins and outs that I have applied to my life, that I will be applying to my life, and things that I continue to do that I already do. So keep watching. You can improve your 2025 and your life in general. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new here. And if you're returning, thank you. So let's just get into it. First things first is, y'all know I always preach about this, is having a solid morning routine, having something solid that you can get your day started with. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything, honey. And you will fall victim to getting up, scrolling on your phone. You'll fall victim to getting up, staying in the bed for hours, watching TV or doing nothing. Just really not being productive, letting hours of your day slip right on by you and you haven't done a single thing. So I personally want to stop looking at my phone first thing in the morning. Now, I don't sit and scroll. Some days I will, and I'll be like, okay, let me not do this. But I'll get up and I'll check my phone, I'll check my messages, and then I'm like, okay, let me get up and let me get this routine down. But I do want to start getting up, just looking at the time, or maybe buying a clock so I can see what time it is, so I don't look at my phone. Maybe put my phone in my living room or something like that so I don't look at it and be tempted to scroll and be on it for a little bit too long, you know what I mean? But I will say that having a morning routine does help, because once you get in the groove of doing things, then it's like your body has adapted to doing that thing. So I do have multiple morning routines though, based off of how I'm feeling, because there are some days where you're not going to be feeling like being a productive girly. So you have to have your morning routine that's lazy girl friendly, especially those days where you start your period. Like for me, I started my period today, the first of the year, which is so crazy. I didn't really expect it, honestly, but started my period. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have a slower day. So I did my routine of what I would do on one of my lazy girl days. And although I still did get things done, it was at my own pace and at the energy that I have. Because girls, if you know what I mean, we get a little bit low energy when our periods come on. Some people have severe cramps and can't do anything. So if you are one of those girls that is a low energy, you still want to do something, or you are one of those ladies that can't do much at all on your first day of your period or at some point during your period, then have a routine that you do, something that you're doing to take care of yourself, to pour back into yourself, to nurture yourself back to health, whether that's getting up, fixing you a cup of tea, I don't know, whatever you feel like you want to do for you to make you feel good and feel okay with not being a productive girly today, then do that. Whatever it is that you feel you want to do. That's why it's good to have multiple things, which brings me to an out that I have been trying to incorporate these last couple of months, because I noticed that I was smothering all of my hobbies. Like everything that I was doing it too much. And I was starting to feel burnt out and drained from it. And that's one thing that you don't want to do, is feel like the things that you love to do are no longer enjoyable. And that's how I was starting to feel. I was like, I love the gym, but I don't feel like I'm enjoying it. I love doing Dose of Destiny, but right now I'm not enjoying it. And so I had to take a step back and be like, okay, well, what else could I do in place of when I'm not doing Dose of Destiny, when I'm not going to the gym? And so I picked up I picked back up with reading, just reading random novels and not just self-help books, because I can really go down the self-help rabbit hole because, you know, that's just what I do. But now I've started reading regular books, which y'all seen on my vlog when I was in NYC. I was reading The Housemaid, and now I'm currently reading the second book, which I'm only halfway through. I could have probably been finished by now, but I've been trying not to overindulge in that as well. So it's just multiple things that I do throughout my week that I'm like, okay, this feels good today, so this is what I'm going to partake in. And when I was feeling like I was smothering the gym, I was like, okay, well, if I'm smothering the gym, then let me find something else that I could do to move my body, which brought me to Pilates, which brought me to somatic exercises, doing active recovery, still doing what I love to do, which is move my body, but doing it in a different way and experiencing it in a different kind of way instead of smothering this one thing. And that's why I dropped down to doing 2 to 3 videos a week instead of doing a video every single day, because I was getting burnt out and y'all probably was getting tired of seeing me. So I cut it down a little bit just to give it some room to breathe, you know? And that's just with anything. If you're doing something too much, you got to give it some room to breathe. Give it some room to, you know, miss you a little bit. And you give it some room to miss it a little bit. And I think that you start appreciating things a lot more, and it's easier to stay consistent when you can give things the room to breathe. You know you don't like to be smothered, so don't smother the things that you like. Another out for me is overconsumption. And overconsumption is not just drugs, alcohol, or food. Overconsumption can be shopping, you know, spending money a lot, watching too much TV, scrolling too much on social media, just over consuming things that really crowd your brain and things that don't really serve a purpose, which is like just going online, spending a lot of money, being on TikTok shop, I guess. I'm not really a TikTok girly. I've tried, but I don't know. I just really can't get into the app for some reason. And people think I'd be crazy for that. But I've seen what it does to people. And people will literally sit on TikTok and scroll for hours and hours and hours and hours. And when I was getting into TikTok, I had noticed that I was on TikTok for like 3 hours, and I didn't even realize that 3 hours had gone by. And that's when I knew, okay, yeah, I don't think that this is the app for me, because I don't want to overconsume, and I don't want to overconsume so much information. Because when we are overconsuming too much information, too many different things from too many different people, we get confused and we don't know what to believe. We don't know what we believe because we've let too many different things influence our beliefs, shape our thoughts. So that's why I try to not shop so much. I'll have my time where I'm like, okay, I need new clothes, I need new shoes, and I'll get that, but then I'm like, okay, I'm good for now. Now, I have been contemplating buying an expensive lip gloss because I really want to invest in a lip gloss, but it's not an impulsive buy, okay? It's not impulsive. I'm really thinking about it and thinking about how I would need it, and I'm thinking that I need it because right now I'm just using regular lip gloss, but I would do good to have a really good expensive lip gloss. Okay, sometimes we do need a good lip gloss. So an in that I want to incorporate, because I'm awful with this, is not rushing. Not rushing to get somewhere, not rushing to get to work, giving myself the space and the time to take my time getting somewhere. I will literally have anxiety behind the wheel. I'm mad at everybody else because they're taking too long on the road and I have somewhere to go. But that's not their problem. That's my own problem. So I am trying to incorporate making sure that I leave enough time for me to get somewhere, to get to work on time, or to upload my videos on time, because I'm so bad about it. I'm actually recording a video the same day that I'm gonna post it. I don't want to always be in that kind of space where I know I have a deadline and I'm like, okay, well, as long as I can get it out on Wednesday at some point, then I'm good. But I don't want to be that way. I want to give myself some time and some room and not be at work trying to rush and edit and also take care of patients and also making sure that I'm helping my coworkers and all of that. So I want to do better about that. And I also had lunch with one of my family members on Monday, and I didn't manage my time properly. And I was like, I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone's time because I didn't manage my time correctly. And if you're not managing your time, you're not managing your money. If you ain't managing your money managing you, and your time managing you. And now you being drugged here, there, and everywhere, and you don't know which way to turn, honey. So I'm tired of doing that. This year, I'm going to be better about not rushing and leaving myself some room to get there. Leaving myself some room to get the thing done. One of the things that my psychology teacher would always tell us when I was in school was manage your time. And I'm like, whatever, But now that I'm thinking about it, it makes sense. We only had 50 minutes to take a test. So we literally had to manage our time, or else we would not have been able to finish the test. We had to turn it in within the 50 minutes. So managing your time is going to take you so much further than I realize. That brings me to my next point, because I think that we procrastinate out of fear, which is out in 2025. I will procrastinate on making a video so bad, and then it turns out so good, and then I'm like, oh, well, I should have been done that. Or I'll procrastinate on folding my clothes. Like, I literally let my clothes sit for days sometimes before I fold them. And I'm like, I wasn't doing anything in this last 30 minutes. I could have done this. I could have gotten these clothes folded. Like, why didn't I do it? And then I look at my drawer like, where are these jogging pants I went to wear? Look at my underwear drawer, and it's looking a little skimp. And I'm like, well, where are my underwear? And I'm like, well, where are my socks? And I'm like, okay, well, I have a big hamper of clothes sitting over there in the corner, waiting to be folded, waiting to be put up, waiting to be hung up. And I'm sitting here wondering why I don't have what I need. And that's another thing that will stop us from being on time, is not being prepared by procrastinating. Being prepared by making sure that my clothes are in their rightful spaces. Being prepared so that when I am maybe in a crunch for time, at least things are where they're supposed to be, and I don't have to waste any more time trying to find the things that I'm looking for. So let's stop procrastinating out of fear. Let's do it together, because I am an ultimate procrastinator. If procrastinator was a person, it would probably be me. And I know that I talk about not procrastinating a lot, but to be honest, it's hard not to, because I know that I can get it done. That's the thing. Like, I guess if I was to be humbled, like, okay, I procrastinated, but then it didn't work out, then I probably would be more adamant about not procrastinating. So I think that because I know I can get it done, I just procrastinate. So that is a terrible trait to have. Do not be like me, okay? So an N is saying yes more to yourself. Making sure that you're honoring your wants, your needs, and your desires, instead of shaming yourself for wanting things that are normal to want, normal to desire, normal to want to be able to experience. So don't feel guilty about saying yes to yourself. You should say yes more to yourself. And we always say, oh, you need to, sometimes you got to tell yourself no. Sometimes you got to tell other people no. And which is true sometimes. When you're over consuming, when you know that you have goals, okay, yeah, maybe you do have to say no to going out. But if you know you need a day out with your friends, don't say no to that. Say yes to that. If you know you want to go and take yourself out to eat today because you've had a hard week, say yes to that. If you know that you want to spend the day doing nothing, say yes to that, because you deserve that. You deserve to have your wants and your needs fulfilled. So say yes to yourself more. That's the end. We're making sure that we do that more in 2025 because it's important. That's just all a part of self-love and self-care. Which brings me to my next N, which is not feeling guilty for saying that you need rest, feeling like you need rest, or because you've looked back on your week and noticed that you've been going and just doing so much that today you just really want to rest and lay in bed for a few hours and get up and maybe scroll on your phone for a few hours, then do that. We need time to ourselves sometimes. Sometimes we need to steer away from the hustle and bustle of the productivity culture that we're in. Sometimes we need to just relax a little bit. Sometimes we need to just do nothing. Like on Christmas Day, and actually I had multiple days this week where I was able to do nothing, simply because I have been working so much, doing so much in the month of December. I knew at the end of the month that I needed to just take some time for me and say yes to rest. We're saying yes to rest, okay? And we just need to just honor that feminine energy within us, because like I said, like I always say, that masculine energy is always at the forefront of our personalities, of our lives. So don't feel bad for honoring your feminine energy. Don't feel bad for honoring yourself, your heart, your feelings, your thoughts. They are important. Rest is important just as much as getting things done, just as much as being a productive girly. How can I produce if I'm not resting? A definite out that's been out of style, honey, is pouring into people who don't reciprocate, checking on people who don't check on you, loving on people who don't love on you, gifting people who don't gift you. Like, when are we gonna let it stop? And it doesn't have to be in the exact same way that a person pours into you. Sometimes money is tight and you can't gift somebody, or you can't pick up the tab. Sometimes you only are able to sit there and listen to your friend or your family member or whatever. But that is also pouring into them, letting them pour their heart out to you, and you receiving that and you holding space for that. That's you also pouring into the other person, not just the things that you can do for somebody, but just how you're there for somebody, how you listen, how you give feedback if they want it, how you give advice if they ask for it, and how you just show up for people who show up for you in whatever way that they can, in whatever capacity that they can. It's not always about what you can do for somebody else physically, as far as buying them something, giving money, going on trip, I don't know, just whatever. I have an idea of how I feel like some people do expect for you to reciprocate, but like sometimes it's just not possible to reciprocate in that way. So always reciprocate in a way that you can, but do reciprocate. And if you are unable to reciprocate, or if you are giving in a way that you can, but that person is not receiving it, then remove yourself, because that's also you pouring into somebody and they're not reciprocating, or they're not able to receive it because they have a version of how somebody should be reciprocating to them because of their own egos. So don't let people like that make you feel like what you're doing is not enough, but also don't be around people who don't pour into you enough, because that is draining. That steals your focus, it steals your joy, and it makes you feel less than. It makes your self-worth diminish. So continue to be around people who uplift you and pour into you, because too often we see people around just giving to these takers, because one thing about a taker is they're gonna take, baby, and it don't matter what it is, they're gonna take it if they see that you're willing to give it. Sometimes you do have to say no, that's cool, especially if you haven't poured into this person, honey. If you ain't did nothing for this person, you better refuse that gift. No, I'm just kidding. Sometimes it is good to receive things. Sometimes it is good that somebody wants to pour into you. But when you get that opportunity, pour back into them as well. So another N for me is nurturing new friendships, nurturing new connections. I've met so many people, and working on trying to make sure that I nurture those connections so that I don't forget about them or they don't forget about me. And possibly making stronger connections so that we can work together. Making connections is very, very important when it comes down to this type of work, especially since a lot of this is word of mouth. A lot of this is who you know and not what you know. And it can be very tricky in this type of industry. But that's why making connections so that when you are in need of something, you've nurtured this connection so they feel comfortable giving to you, because you check in, you ask them how their day is going, you support them whenever you say hey, or whenever they reach out to you and say, hey, I'm doing this thing, I got this thing going on, would you like to join me? You support, you show up, you make sure that you're pouring into them so that when it's time, they can pour back into you as well. So that's just what I'm focused on. That's an end for sure. Making sure that I'm valuing the connections that I'm creating and also taking the time to make them stronger. How can you ever have a friend, a true friend at that would show up for you if you don't nurture the connection, if you don't pour into the connection, if you don't feel like it's valuable enough for you to pour into? So picking those people that you feel like having a connection to them would bring value. And even if it's not just bringing value, you just want to genuinely have new friends, then that is amazing as well. But also, you know, for me, this is more so about business connections, but also connections that are just platonic, you know, just my girlfriends that want to pour into me and I pour into them, and it's just all reciprocal, and just nurturing those connections and not letting them fall to the wayside, because I feel like too often in adult relationships, a lot of adult women don't have friends because they have let other things kind of take over their lives. And, you know, whether you have children or a husband, a wife, or whatever you have that takes you away from being able to be a good friend and actually nurture your connections when you meet people, then I think that, you know, it just really depends on where your head is and what you even want. Some people don't want to nurture friendships or connections, which is cool. But for me, I know that that's something that I want to start incorporating in my 2025. And out, and this is the last out, is doing it for social media, honey. Do it because you want to do it. Create these memories because you want to create them. Oh, if it ain't on social media, it didn't happen. Well, guess what? It did happen. Whether you saw it or not. It doesn't matter what people get to see or don't get to see. Everything is not even for social media. Everything is not for everybody to sit back and judge. Sometimes it's good to just have things for you. Sometimes it's good to just make memories with the people around you that you love and be able to really enjoy the experience, instead of feeling like, oh, I have to record this, I have to take a picture of that. Now, I do understand that, yeah, that is important to be able to have those memories that you can go back and relive and revisit, but also make sure that you're laying actual eyes on this thing. Otherwise, you didn't really experience it. You only recorded it, and then you're going to go back and look at it on your phone. So make sure that you're admiring these things with your eyes. Like when I went to New York, when I saw the Louis Vuitton luggage, I was recording it, and I was so focused on trying to get a good shot, get a good angle of it. I was like, you know what? Let me make sure that I'm laying eyes on this thing, actually seeing the texture of the luggage and actually seeing the infrastructure and all of the beautiful gems that they put on it, and actually admiring how tall it was. Like, y'all, it was huge. I have never seen something so big in my life. But because I was like, you know what? Let me make sure that I can see this with my own eyes, and I have that memory in my brain of how it looks. Although I do have a video, I have a picture of it, I still seen it with my eyes, and it just makes it that much more real. And actually, this is the last one, but it's a bonus one. And it's just something that I want to leave you with, is making sure that whatever you say you're going to do for yourself, that you do that. Make sure you do that, because it just builds so much more confidence within you. It makes you feel so good when you can just say you're gonna do something and then see it literally in your physical reality. It just does something to you. It gives you this natural hit of dopamine that you didn't even know that you needed. So keep doing the things that you say you want to do for yourself. Do that for yourself, okay? Not doing the things that we say that we're gonna do is out for 2025, okay? This year we're doing all the things that we said we're gonna do. This year we're going after everything that we want, everything that we deserve, because you deserve it and you can do it. You can accomplish it. You can achieve it. I'm telling you that you can. And I'm talking to myself too, because I doubt myself a lot. But then I get on here and I make these type of videos and I'm like, I know I can do this. So why do I doubt myself? So do the same for yourself. Do what you say you're gonna do and stick to it. Make a plan and stick to the plan. And get those voices out of your head that tells you that you can't do it, because you can, okay? So I pray that y'all receive this message. I didn't really want to make this video this long, but I hope that you gained something from any of the things that I mentioned, the ins or the outs. I hope that some of these things are something that you didn't realize that you needed and it clicks for you, and now you're going to apply it to your life. Or if these things are any of the things that you've already been doing and been applying it to your life, leave us a comment so that we can see how it's been affecting other people as well. Like the video, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel, all the things, okay? Y'all know the drill. So I pray that y'all have the most amazing New Year's Day ever and an amazing start to your new year. Don't believe all the superstitions and all the things that they tell us that you shouldn't do on the New Year Day, okay? Do whatever you need to do and let go, because everything is everything and what's gonna be will be. So I pray that y'all have the most amazing day ever, amazing week ever, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.